Hello, everybody. It's been a while since we've had an office hours. Let's get started. Let's get right into it because the office hours is really meant to bring us some information, some knowledge, the things that we would probably talk about at the water cooler if we all worked in the same location, but we don't because we live across the United States. Not only our PaperTech staff, but our PaperTech family, thousands of us serving merchants across the U.S. And let me bring up in 3 different locations out in the mountains of the Rocky Mountain High, Miss Jenny Rickle. Jenny, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Nate. Thanks for asking. How are you doing over there?
You know what? I am doing better. It's a little cooler here, I think, in Indiana than it was yesterday. And tomorrow it's going to be a beautiful day and beautiful Saturday, Sunday. So we're enjoying that. Glad to be back from Atlanta. Got to see probably 40 or 50 of our partners just hanging out, getting to chat, getting to eat together, drink together, have some fun together. I will say that I did win the bowling alley on my alley. Kai Su, sorry, I crushed you at my 151 strong. Thank you very much. Mr. Mike Stetzel, 2 hours north of me. How are things for you, sir?
Very good. It has been a great time to have a pool since about Monday this week. We've spent every evening out there and very thankful for that. And you're right, this weekend's a whole different thing. Maybe going to be 80, but much less humidity, even 70s tomorrow. Love it. Loving all this weather. So much better than winter.
Well, it's always amazing how fast things can change. This morning, I took my dog for a walk. It was like 82 degrees and humid here in
Hmm.
Indianapolis. And then I was just out just before I came on live with everyone, and the humidity had dropped. No
Yep.
storms, nothing. It just dropped like 50%. It feels so different. It feels so much better. Hot Atlanta was hot Atlanta. That is for sure. All of us were sweating together. Those of us who were down there. Um, I, I always these business such things when we were actually doing them. I'm like, could we all just say that we were all going to wear polos instead? We were all dressed up in our long sleeve button downs
Ooh.
and our sports jackets, and yeah, the sweat is pouring. But we had fun. Thankful for those who joined us. We'll have future events, I think, in Chicago and in Huntington Beach coming up later this year. But let's talk. So let's talk things like. How do we deal with holds? We see those come up, and I think especially for those who are new in payments, there are lots of reasons holds can happen, but making sure that you as a partner help set the expectations of merchants is really important. I'm going to come to Mike first and ask the question, what are some of the main reasons that you see holds that are happening for our merchants?
One of the main reasons you see a hold is if they go over their high transaction. So when you fill out that application, you ask for a $500 high transaction limit. What do you know? 6 months later, they take a $1,500 transaction. That transaction is going to get processed, but the deposit's going to be held, and they're going to ask you for some documentation potentially, copy of a signed receipt, and then they're going to ask you for your checking account statement so they can approve a higher ticket for you. But that's one of the biggest reasons. There can be uh, other reasons that it happens too, but that's probably the most popular one or the one we see the most often.
Jenny, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to help prepare for that. But as you like with a hold for because of the highest ticket, or you've gone over your average months, or you have something obscure, what are some things that the partner can do to talk to the merchant and things they should collect to help their relationship manager help them through that?
Yeah, so from the get-go, when submitting an application, really make sure to ask the business owner what's the highest ticket that you could possibly have. So, for example, something that has a restaurant that has an average ticket of like $50 to $100, but perhaps they do a venue or a show or a catering service where they have something where that increases, make sure to include that part of the business in the conversation as well. Just get that expectation set from the get-go. And then for other businesses that come down the road that are active, if they see that growth coming, send us a message. We can go ahead and request to have those parameters increase with our underwriting team. It's a fairly simple process. If anything, the underwriting team will come back and just request bank statements to just review the financial stability of that business to ensure that they can handle that type of higher ticket and higher amount. But really, as long as you're transparent and set the expectations correctly from the get go, it really should be an easy process to either change or not have encountered at all.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll be talking with partners and they'll say, "Oh, this doesn't happen at this processor, or this doesn't happen with this group." And the fact is, I just know you're lying because all of us are not making sure. If you suddenly do your average ticket is $22 and you suddenly do a $1,500 transaction, there's none of us who are going to put that right into the bank. There's going to be a check and a hold up. There's a fraud alert that's immediately going to go up. And setting those expectations are really clear. Are there things, Mike, that they should be looking for, especially those who are working with business owners they may not know, and they may have a suspicion, suspect maybe there's something weird going on. What are some things just for their protection and helping us protect our business so we can all continue to make money together to help protect and make sure that these are not fraudulent transactions? And if they think, hey, they're trying to get a hold released and it's not a real transaction or something's fishy going on, what should they do?
What should we do as sales partners?
Yeah, what should the partner do for her? Yeah.
I think your best bet is to, continue to offer your support to the merchant, but also be firm that, this audit process is to protect all of us. And, it's just one of those things that we've got to follow through with. And so in order to get this release, let's just keep giving them the documentation they're looking for. So you're playing pretty neutral. It's not your place to judge. You don't have all the information, and that's what we have our underwriting and risk teams for. So I think just being as supportive as you can. But the big thing is, and this is where you talked about setting expectations earlier, is don't say, oh, we're going to get this money back. Don't worry about it. You're setting yourself up for a problem, especially if you're suspicious that there may be something else at play and that the transaction's really, selling something that's, not on the menu, so to speak, or doing a cash advance, just different things like that. Let the situation and the process play out.
Well, let's talk about something that also happens, and a lot of questions come up, especially for newbies that are in our industry. When in our world, we'll see an AC on an account. That means they're active as a merchant, but they're under collections for something that they haven't been able to pay us. Jenny, I'm going to come to you out first on this one. Can you guys talk us through what does that mean? Active collections. What do those collections mean? And how do you make sure you get work through those? Because those often sometimes are even connected to holds, working through some of these collections issues.
Yes, so this directly pertains to banking account information. Okay, so if we try to bill them for their monthly fees, or perhaps there's a refund or whatever the debit was initiated, if we're unable to successfully debit the business account, they're going to go into a status of collections, right? We try to collect some types of fees and we're unable to. The merchant can stay actively processing in this type of status, and once that debt is satisfied for what we were trying to collecting, that's usually removed. So it usually is a clean process, but then that goes back to, okay, what is going on with the banking information, and to have an ACH reject, you'll see that code maybe come up, then we really need to ensure that either the banking information that we have on file is correct. And if that's the case, underwriting or our collections team will most likely request a bank letter that says that we are allowed to debit and credit the account. Otherwise, there might be something else along the lines that need a bank account change. And that's when you get okay, we're going to go onto the online portal and make that change there, or go ahead and submit a form and make a bank account change. So whenever there's a collections issue, there's typically an underlying issue with the bank account information. And so that kind of goes into another reason where there's could be a hold, is let's make sure we get the banking information correct and everything is set correctly from the beginning to prevent these kinds of issues downstream.
Yeah, and a lot of times what we see, and Mike, I'll ask you this, we maybe in the beginning underwriting process, they'll come back and say, well, this person was processing with us 7 years ago and they still owe us $85 or whatever, sometimes larger, sometimes smaller. But these collections things, they have to be taken care of in order to do business with us. And, it's not something we just write off. Mike, what do you see as we have partners kind of work through this with their merchants, and even new merchants they're trying to get set up that may have been with another agent at some point and then can't come back and they have unpaid collections?
It's always awkward, and that agent always wants us to make it go away. Um, since we have a large company and we're associated with a few other companies that do processing, and we're all tied to the same mothership, this can happen several times. So you find out they owe $85 or they owe $500, and I have seen an agent volunteer to pay the collections balance, if the profit was high enough. I have seen merchants say, okay, let me take care of that. And then unfortunately, the other side of it is they may say, okay, I'm going to go someplace else. And that's the tough, hard truth, is that, you know what, I have an option, I guess. I don't have to pay you. I can go get processing somewhere else. So those are the few ways I've seen those things be resolved. And there's really not any other ways that it can happen. Again, it's one of those situations. Let your relationship manager know what's happening, and see where we can go from there.
All right, well, let's move on to our last topic of the day, and that is shortages of hardware. We have all kinds of hardware shortages going across all of our places, whether it's our point of sale systems, our PAX devices on our Pay Anywhere devices, our 2-in-1 and 3-in-1 readers. And we are often seeing, hey, these just cannot be, we don't know when they're coming in. There are chip shortages across the industry of technology, electronics. What are we seeing, Jenny, of how does the best way for partners to keep up to date? How do they make sure that they understand what's going on? I know they probably miss some of our emails. Sometimes it happens in an instant. And yesterday we had some and Sunday we don't. How do they stay up to date? And what are some practical solutions you're seeing for some of these big ones of some of the things, like they really wanted to use a 3-in-1 reader and we don't have any of those right now, or XYZ? How do you work through some of those solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say just give us a call first and foremost. Feel free to call into our queue, contact your relationship manager. That's going to be the easiest way to get an accurate update because, as Nate had pointed out, it can change day to day because we're sending stuff out, we're getting stuff in, and it is just definitely varying day to day. So just reach out and give us a call to confirm if we have it and if you're ever questioning that. And then a workaround is that we are definitely trying to make it flexible to give our sales partners and our merchants other options. The 2-in-1 readers are definitely a pain point right now, but until then we can give them a device. They can use a virtual terminal so they can just key in the card over the phone. We have other options as well. We have Ingenicos and things like that. So we really try to make sure that we are providing other options and other things that'll work for that business type until we can get the correct equipment that'll be the best fit. We will definitely expedite shipping. We'll definitely do everything we can to make this work as needed. We feel those pain points as well. So yeah, just give us a call if you ever have any questions, what's in stock, and we'll definitely do our best to work with you to accommodate the business needs.
I mean, setting expectations, we use that word over and over, but Mike, I mean, this goes right in there. Don't promise something that you don't know for sure we have. So if you don't check beforehand, or it's important to jump in there. What are some of the ways? Let's just say, we told you yesterday there were 100 of them. We sold all 100, and you didn't think that had happened. How do you deal with that with the merchant? Hey, it may be 3 weeks, it may be 6 weeks, and you have to kind of backwards. What are you encouraging partners to do as you train them as we go through what everybody is going through, these limits and shortages of hardware?
Well, there's a couple things. One of the things that we're offering right now, if you were looking for a 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 reader, is that you can use the app on your phone and you can key in your transactions, and we will credit you up to $50 for the higher fees that you're paying for keyed in versus swiped. So we're doing that. The other part is just be honest with them. And as I'm talking to partners and some merchants, you almost need to prepare them. So right now, Mr. Merchant, we're having some volatility in our inventory. As of now, I know we have this. We're going to get this application turned right in so we can get it fulfilled. And I'll let you know as soon as possible if there's something that changes. And then if we have to, we find them something different. It is no fun being the person that gets to disappoint the merchant. And we know that. And we're not the only ones dealing with it. So there is some comfort in that, to know that as you listen to the industry, there's Clover pieces that nobody can get. And I see people asking for them on Facebook. There's all kinds of things that are out there that we're struggling with. So just be upfront with our customers and hope that they will be patient and bear with us. And again, as Jenny has said, call us. It's a case-by-case situation. What might make this person happy?
All right. So as we close up today, I ask, what have I missed to ask about, whether it be on collections or holds or shortages? What are any last minute and things that we've missed that you want to make sure everybody hears?
I would just like to say back to the funding holds. For brand new accounts that are auto approved, we then later do a bank verification and may come back later and ask for a voided check if they don't pass the security verification. So, what I do see happening for new accounts, they start processing and then we come back and ask for a voided check later. And then, if that voided check is not provided, then a funding hold may occur. So, this is specifically for newer merchants. So, if you can get a voided check when you submit an account, it's definitely best practice. But otherwise, really just you as a sales partner know that you might have to come back later and ask for that. So just keep that in the back of your head, right? So once they become approved and get going, just make sure that that last little piece doesn't come through as well.
That's good. Mike, anything else you want to add in?
Yes, a couple things.
Right.
We have 2 brand new hotlines, I would call them. One is for our collections team, and one is for our risk team. So all those times you've tried to explain in an email, answering an underwriting question, now you can pick up the phone and you get a queue and you're going to speak to a collections agent or a risk agent. And I've seen a partner solve that problem in a 3-minute conversation. So this is something that we've always wanted. So please, again, reach out to us. I tried to find the numbers real quick in my file and I don't have them handy, but there is a way to speak to someone now. As I know many of you have said, can I just talk to them? And now you can. So for those of you who want to do that, let us know and I'll be glad to get you the phone numbers.
Perfect. Reach out to your relationship manager. They'll give you those numbers. That's a great tip, because cutting in line in the queue, when you're not in the customer support queue where they have to transfer you to risk or transfer you to collections, it's going to cut down a significant amount of your time that it takes to get those final answers and get into the right conversations. On that, everybody, it's been, oh, that was a fun sound. It's been in a little hot week, all kinds of things going on. Jenny, what would you say to our partners? We're over halfway through June, coming up to the 4th of July. Is there any encouragement you would say? What do you see of our partners? We're submitting deals. I think there's some exciting times coming into the, some vacations for people and things like that. What would be your encouragement? Then Mike, I'll come next to you.
Yeah, just really keep on keeping on, right? Like it's really hot right now, so it's a great opportunity to get out to those vendors that are outside, fireworks stands. People are outside and there's fairs and the carnivals. We actually have a local one going on this weekend that I'm excited to check out. But these are really good opportunities to really get sign up some accounts, take advantage of our Edge program, keep on rocking and rolling for sure.
And Mike, anything from you?
Yep. It's awesome. One, it is time. It is time where we can take some time off with our family, do some fun things. So take advantage of it. Take some time to get away. I know some of you have a hard time with that, but just make sure you make time for those types of things. I think in the end, it makes us all a better person to step away for a little bit, relax for a little bit, and then you're ready to go and hit the grind again. Right now, also, a lot of the people you need to talk to are in their summer season. This is their busiest time of year, their most important time to make money, and it may not be the right time for them to chat with you. So when you're out and about, though, have fun, enjoy it, because this is everybody is happier when the sun's out, in my opinion. So let's take advantage of that when you are out and bounce in and out of places and smiling and bringing some donuts, whatever it is. Be the fun guy, be the fun lady that gets out and about and visits people and says, welcome to summer. Here we are. Have a great weekend, everybody, if you're watching this live.
Yep, and those who are watching afterwards, we're going to send an email out with this later. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, things we thought us to cover, send it to myself at edmanahan@payprotect.com or to Jenny or Mike, and we'll make sure we cover it. So we've got lots of things to go. Have a great weekend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one, guys.
Bye.
See ya.